Guys, I'm excited to show you how to create this animation intro in Photoshop. Hi guys, bonjour, hola, my name is Trish. If you're new on this channel, welcome. We are so glad to have you here. On this channel, we learn about the basics of Photoshop, intermediate, and some advanced. So if you're looking to learn Photoshop, please hit the subscribe button and join the community of learners. So without much ado, let's jump right into this tutorial. To create this simple animation that I did, the first thing that you have to do is to bring in your own image. So I already have an image here, and I'm going to drag this image into a working file. I'm going to click yes to just bring it in. And I'm going to go ahead and scale it like that. What I want to do is I want to take off the background. I'm going to go to my quick action under my property, and I'm going to click on remove background, and Photoshop basically takes off the background for me. So with this set, what I want to do is that I want to create an animation effect with this image to begin with. So I'm going to click on Windows, and you want to go to choose timeline. So once you have your timeline set, I'm just zooming out so we can see everything. You want to go down to your timeline and click on create frame animation. And you notice that the first thing is that a frame has been created for you to start creating your animation. So I'm going to move this image all the way to the corner to start off our animation timeline. So the first timeline, I'm going to set this to 1 second. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus icon to add a second timeline for our animation. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to move my subject in a little bit. And you want to make sure that your subject is in the same place while you shift. So with this set, I'm going to go back to my plus icon to add another timeline. And you notice that I'm on the last timeline, so the copy I will make will be on the exact same timeline. So you want to click on that to create another frame. Now I'm going to click on this frame and move it in a little bit more because we're trying to create this animation effect in Photoshop. So once you have this, you want to keep adding. So I'm going to do another plus, clicking on the plus icon. I'm adding another frame, and I'm going to move that somewhere here. Now we want to add a last frame. So click on the plus icon. Now you can move this frame all the way to the back like this. So to test this, we want to play it to see how our animation looks. So you want to go to the play button, and also notice that I have my forever on. Now my forever means that my animation will play in a continuous loop, and that's what I want to see. So if yours is not, you need to click on this and change it from once to forever. So I'm going to click on play, and you see that it has a continuous loop to it. So I'm going to click on my image. I'm going to click on the layer, and I don't want the thumbnail of my layer mask. I want the thumbnail of the actual image because I want to bump up the color. So I'm going to go to filter, and I'm going to choose camera raw. I want to just add a little bit more richness. So I'm just going to go to my vibrance to increase the richness of my color like so. And I'm just going to click OK. And notice that the change I made is being applied to all the frames because this is just one layer that is being duplicated. So the next thing that we want to add is to say, hi y'all. So, and you know me, that's how I start my YouTube intro. So I'm going to pick my type tool and I'm going to use this autography font. And I'm just going to type in. I am actually going to put it on 2 separate layers. So double click and just delete the bottom. So we only have the top. Now, I don't want my height to just appear. I want it to basically have an emotion effect, just like my subject came in. So I'm going to place this right here. I'm going to set it somewhere here for it to begin to come in. But notice that right now, this text is on all of my frames. I want it to just show up on the last frame. So I'm going to click on my first frame and I'm going to turn off the layer text. So once you turn off that layer, you notice that it's been turned off in all the frames. So we're going to go to our 5th frame and we want to turn it here. So notice if you look in the thumbnail for the frames, you notice that the high only shows up in the last frame. And that's what we want. So we're going to click on our frame and duplicate that frame. Now we want to click on the 6th frame and we want to move this up a little because we want that motion effect. Now we're going to click on 6 and just repeat while we move our high all the way up. So we set it somewhere here. So we have high. Now we want to obviously go ahead and say hi, y'all. So I'm going to make a duplicate and I'm just going to type in Command J, make a duplicate. I'm going to move that down, double click and type in hi, y'all. Now that we have this, now notice that anytime you add a new layer, you need to go to the first frame and turn that layer off. Now, once you turn it off, it turns it off in all of your frames. So we're going to go back to our final. We're going to turn on the yaw, but we want it to also start from here. Now, we're going to do the same thing. Duplicate this frame. So frame 9, we want to move it in a little. Frame 10, make a duplicate, move in a little bit more. And frame 11 is when we go up a little. Frame 12, we set it completely in place. So now if I play my entire thing, this is what you will get. It's so cool, guys. I know you love it. So I'm going to pause this and we're going to go to our 12th frame. Now I want to make our text a little bit bigger. So I'm going to select both layers in our layer style by holding down my shift and I want to scale it a little bit. I don't know what will happen to our animation, but we'll find out very quickly. So I'm going to double click to accept. Let's play it and see what happens. Oh, it still worked. Okay. So we're going to pause it. And this is where we are so far. We want to go ahead and we want to add my name. So we're going to click, we're going to flip our foreground. So we have the white. I'm going to click on that and we're going to choose something like in the purple-ish. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to take my rectangular marquee tool and I'm just going to draw. What I want to do is add a new layer. So we're going to click on this to add a new layer. And with our paint bucket, we want to fill that in. Command D to deselect. Now, obviously, we want this to be on the bottom. So I'm going to move this and move it all the way beneath my subject like that. But notice that then again, we need to go back to the first frame and turn this off. Now come to your 12th frame and turn this back on. So it shows up only in your 12th frame. So we are going to create another frame and we're going to click on the 12th frame and turn off the purple strip. Now on the 13th frame is when that shows up. Now, if you want to create the same motion effect, you will have to create multiples of the frame and bring this in pieces till it gets to the end. But we're not going to do that. We'll just let it come in at once. Now, the next thing is we want to add the name. So I'm going to add another frame. So you're making a duplicate of the last frame. So on this one, we want to add the text. So I'm going to click on my purple and just make it white. Now we're going to pick our font, our type tool, and we are going to change our font to Agagi Pro, and you can change it to whatever you want. So I'm just going to type in, hi y'all, my name is Trish, as you already know. So we are going to scale this like that. We're going to set it right there. I'm going to double click, and we want to go to our property, and we want to make all of this cups. So double click on the double T to make it cups. Now we want to go ahead, and I changed it to all round Gothic. Now it's all up to you. You can change your font and do it whatever you want. So now, as you can see, the name is showing up on all the frames. Now this is not so obvious, but you can see it here. So we're going to turn it off. Now when we go onto this, we need to turn it on so we don't see our strip here. Our strip shows up, then our name also shows up. So we're going to go ahead and play it so we see how it looks. And if you want your name to stay a bit longer, we can click on our time and change it to, let's say, 5 seconds. So let's play it and see how it shows up. So there's a little bit of a pause for the name to show before it goes back into the loop. Now, the next thing that we want to do is to add a bit more interest to finish this off. So what we are going to do is to create almost like a filter effect on top of our subject and then say, welcome to Quist Photoshop. So we are going to go ahead and create another duplicate of our frame, and we are going to pick our rectangular marquee tool, and we are just going to draw just a box like that. And we're going to flip our foreground. So we pick up on the pink, pick your paint bucket, and we want to click on the top layer because we want that layer that we are going to apply to be at the very top. Add a new layer, fill this in, picking your paint bucket, fill this in, Command D to deselect. Now we want this to be a little bit transparent, so we're going to reduce the opacity to, let's say, 50%. Then again, notice that this is showing up in all the frames. So we go to the first frame and we basically turn it off. Come to your last frame and turn it back on. So now it shows up only in the last frame. Now, what we are going to do is that we want to make a duplicate of this. So we are going to press Command J, make a duplicate. As a matter of fact, we are going to add 2 more. So another Command J and another Command J. So we have it 4 times. Now we want to go to our first frame and we want to turn all of these off. Now come to your last frame, which is the 15th. Now we want to add another frame and we want to this time turn on this frame and we want to turn this off. Now we want to increase this. It's as though this is going to fill up our frame. So we are going to hold down our shift and we are going to extend up this way, extend down that way. And we are going to double click to accept. Now go ahead and add a duplicate of the last frame. Turn this off. Now turn this back on. We are going to repeat the same thing. Hold down Shift. Now stretch this a little bit more than the first one. So we have it like this. Now double click, accept this, and we want to go back to our frame. Now add the last frame to finish this off. Now we're going to click on this frame. We want to turn this off, turn the last one back on, and then you want to fill this completely like so. So once we have this, now the next thing that we want to do is that we want to make a duplicate of 18, frame 18. So you are going to click on your plus icon to make another duplicate. Now, once you make the duplicate on this one, we want to go ahead and basically turn off the name and the text below as well as the strip. Now, this is where we are going to bring in the welcome. So I'm going to flip my foreground to white, pick my type tool, and this time I want to go back to the autography, and I'm going to type in welcome. And I'm going to use my move tool and I'm going to scale it. Now, obviously, we want everything in lowercase, so double click on this, go to your property and uncheck your cap locks. Now we only have the first alphabet in uppercase. So now that we have this, you can do the same thing. You can have an emotion effect where the welcome comes in. So this one, I think we can do it. So I'm going to set this back like that. And we are going to go ahead and add another frame. But before we do that, notice that this welcome is showing up. So we need to turn it off and come back to your last frame and turn the welcome back on. So we have this little piece and we're going to duplicate. Now we want to move it in even a little bit more. And we want to duplicate and move it in a little bit more like that. Duplicate one more. And then we want to set it completely in. Now, guys, to be able to have your text fall on the same line so it doesn't move up and down while doing the animation, you need to make sure that your guidelines are on. So if your guidelines are not on, you need to make sure that you go under view and turn on your snaps so that you will be able to move, so that you'll be able to see your guidelines while you are moving so that everything lines up. So with this set, we can go ahead and play and see what we have. So I'm going to give it a pause. Now notice that, guys, because I set my trish to 5 seconds, when I started duplicating, I should have changed these to 1 second so that it's a quick transition for the animation instead of it being, so delayed. So I'm just changing these frames to 1 second so that we get a very nice transition when we play our animation. So I'm going to go ahead and play it again so we can see it. Yes, this looks amazing. So I'm going to pause it. Now I'm going to go back to the last frame and we want to go ahead and bring in my logo and also add welcome quiz Photoshop. So we are going to add another frame. So I'm going to do the plus to add another frame. We are going to pick our type tool, go back to your font and choose all round Gothic. Now you can use whatever font you want. I'm going to click in and type in Quest. And I'm going to use my move tool to scale it like that. and I'm going to set that right here. I'm going to scale it down a little so we have something like this. I'm going to add one more, so I have quizzed Photoshop, so it pops on the next frame. So I'm going to add another plus. Oh, but before we do that, we need to go to our first frame and obviously turn this off. Now come back to this frame and turn it back on. And we want to go to the last frame. We want to make sure that we turn it on and add to it. So I'm going to make a duplicate of this layer, Command J, make a duplicate, and we are just going to move it down. And notice that our guideline is really helping us to keep things aligned. So before we move on, we are going to go to our first frame and we are going to turn off that layer, come back to your last frame and turn it back on, double click, and you can rename it to whatever you want. Now use your move tool and set it in place so it looks good. Now, so what I'm going to do is that I already have my logo here, and yes, I know I'll be doing a logo, a customized logo this Friday. So guys, be on the lookout for that. So I'm going to just make a selection of these two layers, which makes up my logo, and I'm going to drag it into our working file. Just click OK, and I'm just going to scale it. So you can scale it because you have your move tool activated, or press Command T to activate your transform, and you can go ahead and scale it like that. We want to set it right here. Ooh, I love it. With this in place, I don't want it to come in as one, but I want to have the top layer come in on the second frame. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it off on this frame, but we still need to go to our first frame and turn the two off. Now, when we go back to our last frame, we still need to turn on the top one. Now, if you go back here, so now what we need to do is that we need to turn it off here because we need it to show up on the next one. So add a new frame and turn on this one. Then we add another frame and turn this back on. So now we have everything which is going to be playing in a loop. So guys, this is where we have all the different layers all together. So that is set. So I'm going to go ahead and play it so we see how our Photoshop animation looks. So I'm going to click on play. Guys, this looks amazing. So what we're going to do is that we're going to click on our last one, and we want it to be about 5 seconds, a little pause before the whole loop begins again. So I'm going to hit play so we can see it. So it's saying, hi y'all, my name is Trish. Welcome Quest Photoshop. So that is it. I'm going to pause it and I'm going to click on the last frame. So if you want to make it a little bit bigger, you can click on both layers and we can just scale it. So we set it somewhere here. So guys, with this set, I'm sure you're wondering, okay, I want to save it. So to save this, all you need to do is go to File. Now you want to go to Export and you want to choose Save for Web. So we're going to click on that. So you want to go ahead and make sure that your file name says GIF. You want it to be on perceptual and diffusion. And then when you come all the way on the bottom, you can change your image size. I don't want to change it. And also you want to make sure that your loop option says forever, so that if you put in this on your website, when somebody lands on your website, the animation keeps playing over and over again. But then if you're using it for your YouTube intro, you basically don't need it playing over and over again. So you can just click and do it once. But for the purposes of what I'm showing, I will leave it on forever. And then once you have it set, you want to click on save. And Photoshop will allow you to save it wherever you want. Make sure that the GIF file format is still there and just click save, and Photoshop will save your file as a GIF file that you can play online. So you want to go to your folder. This is it. So you want to right click and say that you want to open with Google Chrome. Now I'm going to expand this so we can see it. But this is what it looks like. It will keep playing in a loop. So if I have this on my website, anybody that lands on my page, they are going to see, hi y'all, my name is Trish. Welcome Quest Photoshop. So this is a very nice tool that you can use even if you don't have the animation softwares. You can still use Photoshop to create something very cool and nice for your intro. So guys, this brings us to the end of this lesson. I hope that you found this very valuable. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you're a new subscriber, please turn on the notification bell for all future uploads so you don't miss out on any more interesting tutorials. So guys, till next time, please take care of yourselves, and I will see you back in the next tutorial. Bye y'all.